Der Kanadier David Gillan kämpfte 6 Monate in der Ukraine, ist auf dem Rückweg in die Heimat in Berlin zwischengelandet. So how is it being back here in safer places?
In a NATO country, a lot less explosive.
Sleep with a gun, and then you go over there, and there's another gun, and there's another gun, and then you go over here, and there's more weapons, and you go over here, and there's a hand grenade, and then you go in here, and there's a hand grenade.
Gillan packte seine Sachen in Kanada, als er von Russlands Angriff las. Er schloss sich der Internationalen Legion an, wo Menschen aus 56 Ländern auf Seiten der Ukraine kämpfen.
It's an artillery war, so you're rarely going to see the enemy unless you're in an urban situation, but most of the time you're literally just sitting in a hole and waiting for bombs to drop and rolling your dice on it, honestly. And I think that's on both sides. It's not even they did a study in World War II about what people were most afraid of, and they asked people if it was firefights or artillery, and every single one of them said artillery. So as much as people want to go in and guns blazing into that war, you're really just holding defenses and letting the big rockets do all the work.
Mehrmals wurden seine Baracken zerstört. Ums Geld, etwa 2.000 Euro im Monat, ging es den Freiwilligen nicht, sagt er.
No one expected to get paid. We were all volunteers, and then they brought up money, and we're like, what? You're paying us? No one showed up for money. Everyone showed up just to help. And I think that's pretty remarkable, honestly. That's just a good attribute of humanity.
David besucht Statuen der Väter der Einheit am Axel Springer Verlag und erzählt, wie er einmal in direkten Feindeskontakt kam.
The time we got ambushed, basically we were doing trips to the front all day. We ran ammunition to the front all day, and we were slowly driving up this hill, and we saw a man wearing civilian clothes, and we were maybe doing 10 kilometers an hour, and I looked over at the driver, and basically at the same time he looked over at me, we heard this clicking sound, and we saw an RPG fly right in front of the vehicle and explode, and shrapnel flew up, concrete flew up, it smashed out the windshield, and then another RPG came, and the driver of the vehicle swerved and just avoided it, and then I looked over at him and I just said go, and he punched it, and while he was punching it, mortars were dropping behind us, so they literally were targeting. They were trying to get rid of us that day. They had recognized that our vehicle was supplying the front, and they knew what we were doing, and they were trying to get rid of us, and we just made it barely out of there.
David glaubt, dass Russlands Diktator Wladimir Putin, wenn man ihn machen ließe, bis hier an die ehemalige Berliner Mauer vordringen würde. Aber er ist guter Hoffnung.
Or what Russia thought was going to be a 3-day takeover has turned into now 7 months. So Ukraine's pushing hard and they're taking land back hard. And if Russia wants to turn this into a 10-year war, anytime any country has ever tried to invade a sovereign nation, it's 20 years down the line that nation pulls out, because you can't just invade sovereignty anymore. It's people are going to stand up and fight for their rights and their liberties. Yes, I still think it's the right decision that I came. I worked hard. I helped a lot. I can say that I physically helped. I definitely put my life in danger countless times, but you got to protect democracy. If you don't stand up against intolerance, then you just become a part of intolerance. You just turn a blind eye to it. So you have to say, no, you can't do that.
In Kanada wartet Davids kleiner Sohn auf ihn. Der gelernte Mechaniker will sich in der Heimat dem kanadischen Militär anschließen.